Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to say, call Haloyim Yahweh Shem Yahushua. That's all praises to the Most High and His Son, who the word ignorantly called Jesus Christ. This is your brother Soldier Sayad from Sakari, New York, and I'm just coming with a quick installment on the Ark of the Covenant. You know what I mean? Where's the Ark of the Covenant and what is the Ark of the Covenant, right? Because there's tons of videos out there and a lot of links that say that the Ark of the Covenant is found. A lot of these heathens are saying they was digging in some tomb somewhere and they found the Ark of the Covenant. Some say it's in Ethiopia, some say it's in Arabia somewhere, and everybody have their own theory on them finding the Ark of the Covenant and they have it in their possession. So let's go into the scriptures and see what's up with the Ark of the Covenant, right? Now, the Ark of the Covenant was first instituted in the book of Exodus, right? When the Israelites was given commandments by Moses to build this ark, right? To build different things and to build this ark. So this is Exodus 25 and verse 22, just for time's sake. If you read from verse 25, from 25 down, it tells you about God instructing them how to build the ark, right? Let's just read verse 22. Let's read verse 21. And thou shalt put the mercy seat above upon the ark, and in the ark thou shalt put the testimony that I shall give thee. So the testimony, the two tables of stones, the testimony, the law, statutes, and the commandments, right? That you was going to put in this ark. And there I will meet with thee, and I will commune with thee, for above the mercy seat from between the two cherubims, with which are upon the ark of the testimony of all things which I give in the commandment unto the children of Israel. Right? So we see that this is the making of the ark, right? He said what's gonna be, what he's telling, giving you advice on what to put inside and what it's gonna be and who is it for, right? For the children of Israel, right? And a lot of people is out there saying that they got the Ark of the Covenant, when we know, based on the scriptures, that you can't even touch the Ark of the Covenant, or let alone put your hands on it, let alone look at it, because it's only for the Levites to bear, for the Levites to carry, and for them to, go in and deal with, because it's supposed to be in the temple, in the holies of holies, right? In the temple, not just anywhere in the temple, but a specific place in the temple, right? So let's read the book of Psalms, chapter 5 and verse 5. 5 and verse 4. For thou art not a God that hath pleasure in wickedness, neither shall evil dwell with thee. The foolish shall not stand in thy sight. Thou hatest all workers of iniquity. So even the Israelites, they wasn't even allowed to go into the temple if you're not a Levite, let alone go into the place where the Ark of the Covenant is and even look at it. You can't even bear it because it was such a holy thing that you couldn't even come close to it, right? Only the high priest was able to do that. He had to make certain sacrifices, he had to burn certain incense just to even bear the ark, right? So let's read the book of Exodus 26 and verse 33. It says, and thou shalt hang upon the veil under the teachers, that thou mayest bring in thither within the veil of the ark of the testimony, and the veil shall divide unto you between the holy place and the most holy. And thou shalt put the mercy seat upon the ark of the testimony in the most holy place. Right? Let's see that in the NLT. Verse 33. Hang the inner curtain from clasps and put the Ark of the Covenant in the room behind it. This curtain will separate the holy place from the most holy place. Then put the Ark's cover and place of atonement on top of the Ark and the covenant inside the most holy place. So they had a special veil that was made just to separate the Ark of the Covenant, the most holy, from the holy place. Right? Because it was two different grounds you were standing on if you go into that temple. If you go in behind the curtain, that's the most holy place. No one was allowed to go back there if you're not one of the high priests, right? And we know that the Most High word is not going to go out void. So if people today are talking about they found the Ark of the Covenant, they found it was in some rock somewhere, or it's in Arabia, or it's in Ethiopia somewhere, then how are not people dropping dead right now? How are they not dying from even beholding the Ark of the Covenant, right? That's how we know that this is false, right? They do not have the Ark of the Covenant, right? So a veil was to separate the ark from the other things in the temple, right? And even in Joshua, right? He had to they had to have you have to have a space between you and the ark. You couldn't be too close to it lest you would die, because the ark would just point out all your iniquities. You know what I mean? All your sin. You will be unclean in front of it. You will die automatically. You wouldn't even be able to behold it, right? So this is Joshua 3 and verse 4. Let's start at verse 3. And they commanded the people, saying, when ye see the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, and the priests, the Levites, bearing it, you see that? The Levitical priest only that could bear the ark, then you shall remove from your place and go after it. Yet there shall be a space between you and it, and 2,000 cubits of measure. Come not near unto it, that ye may know the way by which ye must go, for ye have not passed this way herefore. So you have to have a distant gap between you and this ark. You couldn't come within a certain range within the ark of the covenant, lest you would just die. So you had to stand afar back. Let's see what that says in the NLT for a lack of better, term understanding. Verse 3, giving these instructions to the people: when you see the Levitical priests carrying the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, move out from your positions and follow them. Since you have never traveled this way before, they will guide you. Stay about half a mile behind them, keeping a clear distance between you and the ark. Make sure you don't come any closer. You see that? Lest you would die. So you have to be pretty much a half a mile away from the ark of the covenant, right? So when these heathens talk about they got the Ark of the Covenant in Ethiopia somewhere, or somewhere in Arabia and Iraq, and they found it in Mount Ararat, and it was here and there, that's a lie, right? They are all supposed to be dropping dead on a mass scale. Because definitely the heathen, they would want to open the ark, right? If you discover something so holy, they could not help themselves but to look inside, right? They will have to try to see what's in there. Just like the white man. Anything he discover, he has to discover it. He want to open it. He got to dust it down with the little brushes, right? He got to get it cleaned, right? And, he will put it on display, not knowing that, he would die if he would do that, right? And let's get some more accounts in the book of 1 Samuel, right? 1 Samuel 6 and verse 15. Now this is the Philistines delivering the ark of the covenant back to Israel, because they had taken the ark and they were getting hemorrhoids and all these different plagues. So they returned the ark back to the Israelites, right? So this is 1 Samuel 6 and 15. And the Levites took down the ark of the Lord and the coffer that was with it, wherein the jewels of gold were, and put them to a great stone. And the men of Beth Shemesh offered burnt offerings and sacrifice unto the same day unto the Lord. And when the 5 lords of the Philistines had seen it, they returned to Ekron the same day. Right? Let's get to the point where it says right. So the point here is about the Levites taking down this ark, right? Alright, so let's just jump over here. I'm gonna come back to this. To 2 Samuel 6. 2 Samuel 6 and verse 7. No, let's start at verse. And when they came to Nechan's threshing floor, Uzziah put forth his hand to the ark of God, and took hold of it, for the oxen shook it. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Uzzah, and God smote him there for his error, and there he died by the ark of God. So this brother even died just by even touching the ark, because the oxen had shook it, and he tried to probably try to grab it to brace himself for it so it won't fall, and he ended up touching it, and he was put to death for that, right? Let's see what it says in the NLT. Verse 6. But when they arrived at the threshing floor of Nechan, the oxen stumbled, and Uzzah reached out his hand and steadied the ark of God, because maybe the brother was just trying to save it from falling to the ground, right? But hey, you touch it, you die. That's just the rules. And the Lord's anger was aroused against Uzzah, and God struck him dead because of this. So Uzzah died right there beside the ark of God. So hey, if you see the ark of God falling, hey, don't even touch it. You better go get a Levitical priest, and he better handle it, a high priest at that, and he got to deal with that, right? Because and you can't even make a mistake on touching this thing, or else you'll die, right? So that's what happens when you deal with the ark, right? So when these other nations, and there's a lot of links out here, look at all this on YouTube, talking about how they got the ark, and they found it. Look at this Edomite, the Ark of the Covenant discovery, and he's still alive talking about it. Look at all of this. Everybody claims that they found the Ark of the Covenant, right? Check this out. This is they think they found it, and look at these Edomites, these Romans, what it appeared to look like with their helmets, centurions probably carrying the Ark, right? And this is what they have on YouTube, these lies and deceptions that they found the ark. See? But knowing that they supposed to all be put to death or drop down dead for even looking upon this thing, or let alone touching it. Right? So let's go back to 1 Samuel 6. And let's read verse 19. Alright. Is it verse 19? Right. And he smote the men of Beth Shemesh because they have looked into the ark of the Lord. Even he smote of the people 50,000 and 60 men. And the people lamented because the Lord had smitten many of the people with a great slaughter. You see that? A lot of people died just by looking into this ark, right? This is not a game. Let's read it in the NLT, verse 19. But the Lord killed 70 men from Beth Shemesh because they looked into the ark of the Lord. And the people mourned greatly because of what the Lord had done. Right? So people can't help themselves but looking into this ark. Looking into the ark and seeing what's in there when it's a most holy and sacred thing. Right? So let's jump to the book of Jeremiah 3 and verse 16. Because the question is, where's the Ark of the Covenant, right? Where is it? And who can bear it today, right? So let's see where the Ark of the Covenant is. And it shall come to pass, it says in verse 16, and it shall come to pass, when ye have multiplied and increased in the land in those days, saith the Lord, they shall say no more, the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord, neither shall it come to mind, neither shall they remember it, neither shall they visit it, neither shall it be done any more. And at that time they shall call Jerusalem the throne of the Lord, and all the nations shall be gathered unto it, and the name of the Lord to Jerusalem, neither shall they walk any more after the imagination of their evil hearts. So this right here is a future connotation. It's telling you that you would not know the Ark of the Covenant in this time. You wouldn't even come to your mind. You wouldn't think about it. You wouldn't know where it's at. You wouldn't even fathom or even think about where it's at. You wouldn't even remember. Neither shall they visit it. You will not know where it's at. Neither you wouldn't even come upon it. Right? Because it's going to be hidden. Right? And to find out where it's hidden, let's read the book of 2 Maccabees 2 and verse 4 in the GNT. These same records also tell us that Jeremiah, acting under divine guidance, we just went in Jeremiah 3 and 16, right? Acting under divine guidance, commanded that the tent of the Lord, presence, and the covenant box to follow him into the mountain where Moses had looked down on the land which God had promised our people. Which mountain was this? Mount Sinai, right? This is where Moses saw the heritage, right, of God. And where Moses had looked down on the land which God had promised our people. When Jeremiah got to the mountain, he found a huge cave, and there he hid the tent of the Lord's presence, the covenant box, and the altar of incense. Then he sealed up the entrance. So Jeremiah was acting under divine guidance, right? The mouthpiece of God, under divine influence, and he was told and he was directed on where to hide this Ark of the Covenant until the Israelites are gathered back together, right? So it says, when Jeremiah got to the mountain, he found a huge cave and he hid the tent of the Lord's presence, the covenant box, and the altar of incense. Then he sealed up this entrance. Some of Jeremiah's friends tried to follow him and mark the way, but they could not find the cave. Why? Because he hid it in a place where no man would know it, no man would even fathom or just forget about where it's at, because it's not findable right now. You cannot find the Ark of the Covenant. No matter if you go to Mount Sinai and want to dig up everything, the Most High going to put a spirit on your ass, and he will deter you from finding this Ark, because the finding of the Ark will come when his people are being delivered back into their land, right? So Jeremiah's friends tried to follow him and mark the way, but they could not find the cave. When Jeremiah learned what they had done, he reprimanded them, saying, "None of you must know about this place until God gathers his people together again and shows them mercy." And who's God's people? The Israelites. Right? At that time, he will reveal where these things are hidden, and the dazzling light of his presence will be seen in the cloud, as it was in the time of Moses. And on the occasion when Solomon prayed that the temple might be dedicated in holy splendor. So when you see all these things about the Ark of the Covenant is found, all these history channels with these heathens talking about they found the Ark, look at that. That ain't no damn Ark, right? It's a lie, right? The Ark will only be found when the Most High gathers his people, and he's going to put it in our minds, or somebody's mind, to go get this Ark and lead us up out of captivity, lead us back into our land, right? So the second Maccabees is actually in further depth as to what the prophet Jeremiah says in chapter 3 and verse 16. Let's read that again in the NLT. I'm curious to see what it says. "And when your land is once filled with people, says the Lord," which hasn't happened yet, because our land is still trodden down with the Gentiles, right? We're still in captivity. This has not happened yet. You will no longer wish for the good old days when you possess the Ark of the Lord's covenant. You will not miss those days or even remember them. And there will be no need to rebuild the Ark. Why? Because it's going to be found, it's going to be intact, and it'll be up and running, right? So it says, you will not miss those days or even remember them when we get that Ark back. We would, you know what I'm saying? So the Ark of the Covenant has not been found, right? As far as the scripture says, he hid it in Mount Sinai, where the place where Moses was up there and saw the heritage of God. And are we telling you to go knock down Mount Sinai and try to find the Ark of the Covenant? No. You touch that thing, you'll die, right? And if you second Maccabees already reiterates that no one must know about this place until God gathers his people together again and shows them mercy. So even Jeremiah's friends tried to follow him to mark the way, trace his footsteps, right? Find out where he went, but they could not find the cave. Why? He was acting under divine influence, right? The Most High sealed that thing up to a point where you ain't gonna find it. It ain't no cave where you're gonna find a big ass hole in the cave and you could just walk in there. Oh, there you go, the Ark of the Covenant, right? It's not like that. It's sealed up until that time, right? So that's all I got for today. This is your brother Soldier Sayad. I want to say call Alom Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. And with that, I say Shalom.